Welcome to the Transform My Dance Studio podcast, powered by the Dance Studio Owners Association. We are thrilled to be welcoming back Jodi Schilling and Angela Manella Hoffman as our guest hosts in a brand new season of Elevate Your Studio. This very special series will give you an inside look into how Jodi and Angela have grown their dance studios as they share their tips on building a thriving business while getting their life back. Jodi and Angela are the owners of Rivalry Studios in California and More Than Dance in Minnesota. Now, let's get on with the show. Elevate Your Studio with Jodi and Angela.
Welcome to Elevate Your Studio. I'm Angela.
And I am Jodi.
And today we are crafting team chemistry.
I love working with my team.
You're so good at this.
I don't know what I would admit, I think I'm good at it because I love it.
Well, good. I'm glad you admit it, Jodi, because you are good at it.
I don't admit that I'll take that compliment because I work really hard.
Yes.
I work really hard at it, actually. And I wasn't always a good leader. I have to admit that as well. I've grown a lot in the last 5 years.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I mean, I still feel like I need a lot of leadership skills. But yeah, since joining the inner circle really is when I even kind of learned about leadership.
Same. And I also think that leadership is something that you never kind of finish learning. It's always something more to add to it or evolve.
Yeah. Now, do you think that everybody has the ability to be a leader? Or do you think that some people are just kind of born with an innate sense and then they need to keep working on it?
Wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to ask.
No, it's a really good question because I'm actually not sure. So the only thing I can relate to is myself. And I never felt like I was adequate enough to be a leader.
Okay.
People would always say I was a leader.
Right.
But I like growing up, I was really, really shy. So I always thought leaders were kind of vocal and up front. And I was always kind of in the back and watching and more quiet. And then I've realized, well, there's different kinds of leaders. There's leaders,
absolutely.
There's leaders like me that are not in the forefront of everything.
Yeah. That's great. No, I was a leader when I was growing up. I was like president of the student council and, blah, blah, blah. But I was probably not the best leader. I was probably just louder than everybody else.
I don't think so.
But we're going to learn. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think everyone has some leadership skills.
Yeah.
In different capacities, because you can be a leader in your family. You can be a leader in your peer group. Like, it doesn't have to be of a business or
a work environment.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many different types, like a spiritual leader or there's just different kinds of leaders. So yeah, I think everyone possesses those skills, but maybe they just need to be developed.
I think it's great. And I think it's great to understand too that there's not just one type of leader. There's the servant leader, there's the silent leader, all sorts of different things. And it also depends on what the rest of the people around you are like.
Yeah. So, for context in this, for those who are listening, I want to kind of share like how our studio structures are set up with our team so that they can understand as they're listening to us, like what we're talking about.
That's always good.
That's always a good thing. Let's start with you, Angela. How is your studio structured as far as your team?
So I am the owner and I run our preschool program and our special needs program as well. And then I have other department heads underneath that. So somebody for the recreational classes, somebody who is like the competition manager, as far as teachers go. And then we have our regular teachers, that have their specific classes. And then I have somebody who's in charge of the musical theater program at our studio. So we kind of separate out each division by who really is the strongest leader in that. Yeah. And for me, I found that with my preschoolers, that to me is kind of my zone of genius and my special needs classes. So that's why I still do those, even though I'm still running the business. But then I have an office manager and some front desk staff, and then the teachers, and then we have like parent assistants for some of the competition things. But that's about it, really. I mean, I need to really delegate more, and I'm working on that because I'm the type of leader who just expects people to know what's in my brain. I mean, come on, you can't read my mind. So I admit that I am not that great at that part. So how about you? How is yours structured?
There is some definite similarities between our two studios and in the structure. And I would think probably across the country and world.
Yeah, I think most, yeah.
Yeah. So I actually have a co-owner, which is my husband, but he's very silent. Like, he is not upfront in the business, though he is a co-owner because he's married to me and we founded the company together. But he does not run the studio. But he gets a say so because he has financial stake in this.
Yeah.
So there's Sean and myself, and then my studio manager, who I rely heavily on. She does
She's
lot.
Great.
She's great. She's great. And my studio manager before her was great. I've never not had a good studio manager.
Because you're a good leader.
I can't imagine. No, I have the right people. I have the right people in that role.
And we're going to talk about that too.
Yes. She's fabulous, and she runs the entire front desk. So she's got 4 admin under her, and they are director of customer experience, our offsite director, our rentals coordinator, and our birthday program. She also does our costumes, accounts receivable, and helps with large event planning and things like that.
Yeah.
And she, when I add a new sub to our list, which our sub list is like 20 to 30 people because we're in LA.
Yeah.
In LA, my teachers book work.
Jobs. Yeah.
They book jobs, and maybe not for a while because of COVID-19.
Right.
But they would leave for 6-9 month contracts, and we'd have to sub in. And so I always had to have a really large sub list. And so we've got that. And then the second line is our comp team director.
Okay.
And then we have a media team with 2 people on it. So I've got a guy who he's on salary actually weekly to take photos and videos at the
That's
studio.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Social media girl who puts everything onto the website and all of the social media stuff. And then we have Adrian, who's our preschool director. Shannon's our musical theater director. Rosie she doesn't know it yet, but she's going to be our recreational program director. Rosie, if you're
listening, big announcement right here.
You're going to get promoted. And then we have all of our instructors.
Sure. Now, do any of your I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to say they all have very specialized fields of dance that they are concentrated in.
Do you have any of your teachers as part of like the birthday admin or different things like that? Or is that all just separate for you?
No. So the teachers will do birthday parties. Like they kind of do. So we have a whole group of them who go off to the schools because we call it our offsite school program.
Yeah.
And we're in about 5 schools right now during the day teaching 8 to 2 p.m. And so I have to send teachers out during the day to those things, and then out for birthday parties or where they come to the studio. And so all the teachers have different sub things that they do too. They're not in charge of it. They're just
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So I love that.
That's the structure.
So Jodi, have you ever had issues with staff members?
No, never.
Oh, good. Wow. Well, podcast is done for today.
We wouldn't be human if we didn't have.
No, absolutely.
Conflict. There's always going to be conflict because everyone sees the world through what they want and their goals and their desires. And when those things are not aligned, that's when there's a little bit of like conflict, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You just have to figure out how to meet everyone's goals.
And Right. And I think that's what people need to understand, is that there's certain things that you can, move the dial a little bit, but there's certain things too that this is our value of our studio. This is what's going to happen. So I think if you're very clear in your own values of the studio, then when those conflicts arise, you can see, is it a problem person or a person with a problem? And
they just need a little developmental training. They just need supplemental training. So how are we feeding our instructors new information, and are we listening and getting them, the courses that they need to improve?
Right. And do you do a teacher onboarding?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I first learned about that through the inner circle, but making sure, even as you do with your students, getting them familiar with what's happening, doing that with your teachers is incredible. And even having a teacher mentor kind of relationship too.
Yeah, we do that. You can't see this right now, you guys, but my little dog is trying to vie for my attention during the podcast. So if you hear little whimpers, that's my dog Ava, who is listening. So anyway, we were talking about. I'm so sorry, my dog was so distracting.
That's okay. No, so we're talking about a person with a problem or a problem person and onboarding our staff.
Right. Okay. Yes. And we're talking about getting them the training that they need and listening to get them the courses and extra help that they might need to do their job. And you were saying about mentorship. So especially with our preschool department, when we bring in a new preschool teacher, I think that's the most important teachers are.
Oh, I agree.
For the little one. Oh man, they set the stage for the rest.
I agree. Yep.
And so we're really particular about who's teaching our preschoolers. We're particular about everyone, but especially that. And they have to do 4 weeks of training. So they're shadowing current teachers because we want them to learn the way we do things at the studio.
So what do you do? So that's where I have some issues, is a lot of the new teachers I hire over the summer, and they can't really participate in a class because we may not have that specific class over the summer. So we've been doing, workbooks and meetings and things like that. Do you have some good suggestions on what to do if you can't team teach for a little while or co-teach?
Well, I haven't hit that yet. A lot of times we're doing our hiring from our sub list.
Okay.
So these people have already been in the studio multiple times. They've been watched. They've passed the test. So I'm never bringing in a teacher that's not been tested.
Vetted. Okay. Yeah, so, that's a great thing to know. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, so we should all be building, even if we don't need the subs necessarily, but build that sub list so we have a pool of people who we can choose from too.
Well, the great thing is about a sub list like that is everyone needs a day off, right?
Yes, we do. I'm waiting for mine.
Sub your own classes and just sit back and watch and vet them.
Yeah.
Or have, you'd have to pay double because we pay even for the trial classes that
I do too. Yeah.
So you have to pay double your current teacher and the sub to have your current teacher vet them.
Yeah.
But it's another way to go, and you just have that person in your back pocket if you ever need them.
I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. One of the things that I've found that's somewhat difficult in studios that I've worked at is that so many of the teachers feel not necessarily jealous of each other, but there's some kind of rivalry or competition among the teachers. Who gets to choreograph this piece? Who's going to, get this class next year? Things like that. Does that happen to you? Have you had any troubles with that at all?
Oh yeah, it happens. That happens in every job. You're
yeah.
I mean, it's not just the dance world. Even my husband who works in corporate America, they want to be on certain projects or someone gets voted ahead of them. Or, it's just part of life.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. it just seems that dance teachers on average seem a little bit more vocal about it. Or maybe that's just been my experience.
Well, we're performing artists. So right. We're in touch with our feelings and we're hypersensitive. And I think that's why you hear more of it. But like corporate America, I almost think it's worse to not hear them being frustrated.
That's true. Yeah.
They keep it to themselves and they keep it to themselves and then they explode and quit and like there's a hole. And at least, you know, for us, if they talk to you and you see that they're frustrated, you can at least address it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, you know, part of setting your teachers up for success and your staff is making sure that you know their strengths. And there's some really cool online tests that you can do to make sure that you have the right person
in the right spot.
Yeah. So like for the my studio manager that I love so much, all those key people, they take a test online called the Kolbe A test.
Yeah.
K-O-L-B-E.
Fascinating test.
Yeah. KOLBE A is the one you want. And it lets you know if that person, like where their strengths lay, like they could be fact finder. They could be someone who's strong at follow through.
Okay.
They could be someone who's a quick start. Like they just go. And then they can be an implementer, which is someone who is really good with their hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
great. Do you remember what your Kolbe's?
Oh, yes. Mine is off the chart. I am a 10. So it's on a scale from 1 to 10. And I'm a 10 on quick start, which means.
Me too.
Which means I don't put a whole lot of thought into what I'm about to do. I'm like, I get this very creative, brilliant idea, but I'm not good at implementing. I'm not good at fact finding, and I'm not that great at follow through. So I have to surround myself with people who can help me do those things.
Yes, because there's some, you know, and I think it's hard for us as studio owners sometimes to remember that not everybody thinks like us. So when I have a creative idea, my office staff will be like, well, how are we going to get this done? You know, and now we're at the point where they can just figure it out and they don't need me to do that, but they'll be like, wow, how did you think of that? And to me, it just came to my head.
Right.
You know, so balancing those different personalities is really key.
And then also knowing how to appreciate people in the ways that they can understand. So there's that great book about love languages.
Yes, the 5 love languages.
Yes. And I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about
Sure. So that talks about how you feel appreciated. So there's either like gifts by somebody giving you something. I think there's compliments and then there's touch. Somebody touches you in a nice way that gives you affirmation. I can't remember the other ones. Acts of service.
Yes, and quality time, spending time.
And quality time. Yeah. So this has been interesting for me because I studied this a little bit with my husband when we were in marriage prep and things, and we're totally different, which is kind of funny. But it also works really well too for your team, especially if you're not as much of a fact finder and you want to kind of find the emotional sense of them as well. Mm-hmm. So it's a great resource, I think.
Yeah, because you're going to have teachers who really thrive on words of affirmation.
Yes.
I have a few of those. And I have a couple that love the little gifts I give.
Right.
And I have a teacher who just wants to do a Zoom call with me every week for that time with me to check in. And she feels valued because I spend time with her. And then, and whenever I can, I want to like serve them and help them.
No, What?
I don't do a lot of touching. It's just.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's true. I do a lot of hugs, like to the people who want hugs. I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But, in the beginning, it would kind of frustrate me because here I would go out and get these cute little gifts for all of my staff and spend all this time and money and blah, blah, blah. And like some of them just seemed like they didn't appreciate it at all. And it was so heartbreaking because I'm like, you're not valuing, you know what I mean? Like figuring out that not everybody's going to react the same way. Some people, a little great gift might be like, okay, I wish you would have just given me the money, or you know what I mean? Right. So it's always hard to know. But once you find that out, then you can really understand your team.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of understanding your team, there is sort of kind of like, I hate to say this, but you can pigeonhole people into kind of their dominant types as like a workforce. And there's kind of 4 different types of worker. There's someone who's like a pioneer, and they're like the visionary.
All right.
That's you. That's you. Like,
well, you too, don't you think?
Yeah, I think almost all studio owners, they have this vision and they want to, create. So they're the pioneer, and they're usually the CEOs or the leaders of their business. And they're like, all of these are great, but you have to kind of know how they work together. So these pioneers, the pros of it is that if an idea that they have fails, then they just easily move on to the next.
Yeah.
I'm not say, I don't know if you are, but like if something doesn't work, I'm like, didn't work. Like, well, let's try something else. And I don't get too hung up on it.
Let's forge ahead.
Like I had a Facebook ad this week that just did not perform well at all. And I'm like,
no.
Gotta do a new one. Oh, well. And some people get hung up on like not working or failing. And that's not me. And they also tend to be very optimistic and creative.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I don't think you would start a business if you're like, I don't know, I don't think this is really going to work. Like you start a business.
Could you imagine how sad that would be?
I know. So here's some of the cons.
Okay.
Is that people like us can be exhausting to other people.
Or ourselves. Don't you ever get exhausted from your own ideas sometimes?
They don't stop. Like, you're up in the middle of the night with an idea.
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And people have to pick up our slack because we're so busy with these grand visions and we don't see them through. So people like my poor studio manager is constantly seeing through my ideas because
that's important.
We're not overly detailed. Like,
no.
This is going to be great.
That's the next thing. Yeah.
She'll look at me like, do you realize how much work that is? I'm like, yeah. But it's really...
And get it done by tomorrow. Yeah.
She's thinking that's not work you're going to do. That's work that we're going to do. So, and another one is that you and I, pioneers, we don't like to be told no. But we have to be surrounded by people who will tell us no.
I think that's a really good point.
Yes. Yeah. But it's how you tell a pioneer no. So so you want to have people who are gentle. And they can say something like, have you considered the ramifications of blah, blah, blah?
That's great.
And then
have you considered? I love that.
Lori uses it on me.
It's good. It's good. Yeah.
Have you considered this? Have you considered the implications?
That is so funny.
So the next part is what my studio manager is. She's a guardian.
Okay.
And guardians are protectors. And they are people who want to protect the system. And they're careful and they're methodical. They're usually your no person.
Right.
And they keep you out of trouble.
That's great.
They're very reliable.
Mm-hmm.
And they thrive on clarity and planning. But they have cons. There's cons to these people because they crave stability. They're not risk takers. So when the pioneer says, hey, guardian, we're going to do this, their instinct is like, No.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's important as a CEO to know that your right-hand person has to be a guardian
in order to make it work.
Typically.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to love the risk-taking that you do.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Like when you talk to them, you just have to know that
and
how you share those ideas. They need they need time to process.
Time to process it?
Yeah. The new information, and they are not good with interruption at all.
Yeah. Okay. I can totally see myself as the wrong pioneer with my guardian.
And they're not always able to keep up with the times, like with new technology and things like that, because they know the system, they know what's working now, and it's sometimes hard for them to see that something else might work better, or they don't want to take time to learn a new system.
No, that makes sense.
Or flesh it out. And they do not do well with autonomy. What's that word?
Autonomy?
Yes.
Autonomy? Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a guardian.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
There's 2 more. Do you want to hear them?
I do, yes.
Okay. The next one is what you were talking about a little bit ago. And this is what a lot of our instructors are. They're drivers. And they're highly competitive.
Yep.
My hip hop instructors are male. They just happen to all be male.
Right.
And they're highly competitive. Like they want the students to all enroll in their class.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're
funny.
Competitive. So competitive. But they get stuff done.
Yeah.
They always rise to the occasion. They're goal oriented. They don't waste time. They thrive on achievement, and they work really well with KPIs, which is
key performance indicators.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason is because they want to see how they stack up.
Yeah.
Not only against their peers, but against themselves. So they have to have these goals. They have to know what those are.
And they probably do well if you gamify their job.
They do. I've done games like this before. And the ones that always rise at the top of these games, like these intensive games, are my drivers.
That's funny.
Very, very competitive.
Sure.
The cons with them is they're not always great socially. They can be rather blunt.
Okay.
I get my feelings hurt a lot, and I have to just say, no, they're overachievers. They're like, it's coming from passion. They're not trying to hurt my feelings or whatever. They will challenge you, which is not a bad thing. It is not.
No. But you need to be prepared.
Yeah, it can feel at the time like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Often when I am challenged, I'm like, oh yeah, that's good that they said something. They get frustrated with other people's performance.
Can you explain that a little more?
When they feel like other people are underachieving or not living up to the expectations that should be, they get super frustrated.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Even like this doesn't just apply to the workplace. Like think about on your competition teams, like are there students that get frustrated that other students are not practicing?
Yeah.
Or that they feel like the team could do better if everyone put forth all the effort.
That's a really good point. Really good point.
Are also drivers.
Yeah.
They're going to grow up to be little drivers.
There we go. So what's the last one?
The last one is integrators. They're like they're the unifiers. They're the peacemakers. They like everyone and everyone likes them. They're great for your front desk.
Sure.
You would think, but not actually.
Right.
Because I've made this mistake before. It's really hard to have an integrator at the front desk because they're so social. They don't get the work done.
Yes. And if they want to keep the peace and there's an angry parent, that's going to be a problem.
Exactly. Yeah. but they also are great mentors, and they're really good team players, and there's a lot of benefits to them.
Sure.
The cons, though, is they make relationships the priority and not the tasks. Right? And there's a place for that, but if you're paying money, you want output, right?
Right. You want things done.
They are usually distracted. They waste time. They are not the leaders. They're just collaborators. So do not assign them a leadership role, because it makes them feel really anxious, because that's just not who they are.
Sure.
And they try to avoid conflict. And what else? They do not like working alone. They like, so that is a challenge, because they're super social, but if you put them with everyone else,
nothing's getting done.
They waste time. So I did this with one of my front desk staff. I had to take her off of front desk and put her back in my office as my personal assistant. And I thought, I get more out of her if she's not around people. No. Guess what happened? Can you guess what happened to me?
I bet she just shut down.
No.
Oh.
I couldn't get my freaking work done because she wouldn't stop talking to me.
Oh. She was in the same space as you. I see.
I love her so much. So then I put her by herself. She was no longer my personal assistant. I switched it. So she worked alone off on her own, and she was so unhappy. She was unhappy. So guess what I ended up having to do? Because none of those three things worked.
What?
I put her on my social media.
Hey, I was going to say, she could be a social coordinator.
Because she was social with the people. She's great with interacting online with the people, and she gets that done because it is interaction.
Right.
And I have tasks for her to do every single day. So
that's great.
She's in contact with me. She's in contact with others. She's not alone, but she's getting her work done. You guys, knowing what each person, how they fall into these categories, really help you to put them in a position that will help them help you.
It empowers them.
Empowers them, and it makes them happy.
Yeah.
Something that they're great at.
Yeah.
Is that helpful?
It's awesome. I love it. That's great. Thank you. And so you're really crafting the chemistry by putting the right people in the right places.
Exactly. So I hope this was a great podcast for you, and that you have actually enjoyed the entire series. If you didn't have
know.
Can you believe that 6 episodes are done already?
No, I don't know where the time went, but we hope that we get to be back with you sometime soon.
Yeah. And if you haven't had a chance, go back and listen to our first 5 episodes, or our first and second season. That's 16 other episodes that you could listen to. We've really enjoyed our time with you. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Elevate Your Studio on the Transform My Dance Studio podcast. You can learn more about Jodi and Angela, plus the behind-the-scenes stories from 19 other successful dance studio owners from around the globe in our brand new book, Dance Studio Secrets: 65 Ways to Build a Thriving Studio, is now available on Kindle and paperback from Amazon.com. See you next week for a new episode with our special guest hosts.